Hey there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to PR Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we have a review of the brand new studio album by hard rock band Weezer, Van Weezer. Van Weezer is the 15th studio album by rock band Weezer. It follows up the record they released earlier this year called OK Human. That was very orchestral, very pop, very much a throwback to like a 50s, 60s era. But this record is influenced by 70s bands, 80s bands, big hair metal, big hard rock. Think Van Halen, that's what the title of this album is an ode to. And this features some of the biggest guitar riffs and biggest choruses the band has put to tape in recent years. But is it a success? Let's find out. Something interesting to note is the track list is a little bit different on the vinyl and physical versions as it is on the digital ones, because the digital version opens up with The End of the Game, but the vinyl and then the CD open up with Hero, so it's a bit of a different track listing for some reason. It's just flip-flopped. All the other tracks are in the same order. It's kind of a weird oddity. That happened sometimes back in the day, as where they put singles at the front of the record when they weren't normally on the album track list, so it's kind of a throwback, but just kind of a weird oddity for Weezer's Van Weezer. And for anyone who watched my review of OK Human, you'll know I was not a fan of that album. I think I gave it a 3 out of 10. I got a lot of heat for that, but that's not going to affect my rating on Van Weezer. I just wasn't a fan of it, and when I listened to it, I just didn't like it.
Just means that when I listen to it, I don't like it.
But on the opposite side of that spectrum, I listened to Van Weezer and I really enjoyed it. 70s and 80s hard rock, guitar-driven music is some of my favorite music that's ever been put to tape, that's ever been released. So when this came out, I thought, oh, this is a great throwback. This is a great direction for Weezer to go in. And they actually planned to release this album at the beginning of 2020 before the Hella Mega Tour with Fall Out Boy and Green Day, because that was going to be a big arena rock tour. But unfortunately, it was postponed due to COVID-19, so it didn't end up happening. So they pushed back the release and then wrote and recorded OK Human in between. But we do have Van Weezer now, and hopefully the Hella Mega Tour goes on this year. I'm not quite sure because it is such a huge tour. If it went to 2022, I wouldn't be surprised, but hopefully it does happen so I can see him out at Target Field. But Van Weezer is just 30 minutes, 10 tracks of a lot of fun. Standouts on this album include The End of the Game, Hero, and I Need Some of That, and a lot of these are very similar as they have very shreddy guitar solos, big choruses, just a lot of catchy hooks on this entire album. And I think Weezer is best when they use that formula where they just have a nice, great guitar track and a nice, fun guitar solo and a catchy chorus. That's basically the Weezer formula. That's been pop rock formula since day one. But I will say this album goes a little bit too indulgent into the 70s and 80s. I mean, all the way down to Blue Dream, where they use the same guitar riff and the same verse riff. Basically the entire structure of Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, but they put a bunch of weird lyrics over top of it. It felt very derivative and way too on the nose for me. That was a bit corny. And also on the song One More Hit, I think that features some great heavy riffs from the band, especially like a heavy breakdown towards the end. I was surprised at how heavy they went, but it has some cheesy lyrics over the top of it, so it feels very mismatched when you keep screaming the lyrics cold turkey over a really heavy guitar riff. It sounds gross. And while the first 5 songs are really strong, I think the second half of this album drags a little bit. The songs Sheila Can Do It and She Needs Me, I think, are the worst songs in this album. They're overly corny. They ditched the really great guitar solos. It just feels like they ran out of ideas after the first 5 or 6 songs. But I did enjoy the last song, Precious Metal Girl, which is the only ballad on this album, so it ties this album up with a nice, neat little bow. But overall, I would say I enjoyed Van Weezer quite a bit. I think it's gimmicky, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed the gimmick. I enjoyed the era that they're representing here. I wish Weezer would make an album where they weren't trying to make a certain type of record. They just wrote songs and sounded like Weezer, because this album was pretty great, but I don't think they're going to replicate it anytime soon. So it just feels like a weird one-off, a weird passion project that they had. And while some of the songs aren't as strong as others, I think overall it's a nice breezy listen. At 30 minutes and 10 songs, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what? I listened to that already? I was listening to this album during work and I listened to it 2 or 3 times without knowing it, just because it was so breezy. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. It kept the fun feel of it. And overall, I would give Weezer's Van Weezer a solid 8 out of 10. It's an album I think I'll be returning to quite a bit over the summer, get some summer vibes in and listen to some fun rock music. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw here, you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram and like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. My name is Parker Reed. You've been watching PR Media. Keep supporting physical media, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Well, everybody needs a hero.